Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood. This video is going to show cutting out and assembling my Amazing Grace cross. Stick around. Okay, so a lot of you have already seen this file, and many of you, thankfully, have already bought this file, and I really appreciate your support. This may be a different version than what you have got when you downloaded if you bought early on, because this is the Amazing Grace Cross version 2. After the live stream I did a few weeks ago, or last week, many other people said they preferred it with an offset on the back. They felt like it was easier to read. So let's jump in here to Lightburn and show you what you're going to get whenever you get what you get. So if you, in fact, it's even named wrong, Amazing Grace Cross. The file that you download should be amazing, but I spelled it wrong. Amazing Grace Cross V2. If you do not have the V2, then you should be able to log into your account on hobowithwood.com and download it again, and you'll get the new updated version. And when you open this up, you'll have all 4 different file types. You'll have Lightburn, the DXF, the AI, and the SVG. I'm going to open up the Amazing Grace Lightburn file, and this is what you're going to have. You're going to have the Amazing Grace cross, an offset, and then 3 fish that you stack for the base, the small, medium, and large, and then the fish with the cross in it that sits on top that this goes inside of. So this sits on top of that, and you have that like so. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can do with this file. Now, if you have the original version and you don't have this offset and you think, well, I will just, that's easy enough to do. I'll just take and ungroup everything, then select just this outer piece and then just do a slight offset outward, make it round so it looks good. And let's do, 3 millimeters is fine, and say okay. And then select that offset and drag it. I didn't want to delete the original though. Let's undo that. Now, do that and the offset, but don't, okay, I didn't delete the original. All right, select the resulting, done. Okay, so done. All right, so there is a 3 millimeter offset. Group all of this back together here. The problem with doing that is when you go to glue these up now, these tabs have got that rounded larger offset, and it's going to be a problem when you try to mount or glue them up here, because that does not match. So the offset that I have for you in this file, when you put them together, they do line up. So now you don't have to worry about having different size front and back slots in these pieces when you go to glue them up. I've modified that offset so that they marry up perfectly. So this is no good. Now, suggestions on what you should do when you cut this stuff out. If you're going to do the offset, which is optional, you don't have to do it. If you're going to do the offset and you're going to do it and plan on using this fish in either the same wood or the same finish, then put both of those on your work table and cut those out on your first job, your first pass. Cut those out. Then lay them off to the side and get them out of the way. Then you can get all of this on one 12 by 12 sheet. you just nest them up there nice and close together. You can get them on a 12 by 12 sheet. Excuse me, I'm getting a little cold again. But what I recommend doing, you need to know what these slots are, what size they're going to be. So if you got a 12 by 12 piece of material you're going to cut this out of, before you put it on your workbed, measure the thickness of this material, measure the thickness of these tabs on this offset, add those together. So if this was 2.8 millimeters and this one was 3 millimeters, 5.8 millimeters. That's how wide you need to have these slots. So you're going to select all of that, ungroup it, then select all your slots, go into Tools, Resize Slots and Selection. I'm going to change the slot width, and we're going to do it to what I say 3 and 2.8 is 5.8, so 5.8 millimeters. You would have to know what the old material thickness is. Now, I got lucky and it's already recognizing it, but if you don't know, you take your ruler tool, come over here and measure right there, and it's 4.7 millimeters as it comes in from the download, 4.7. So with all those selected, you go to Tools, Resize Slots and Selection, put in the material thickness of 4.7, put in your new material thickness, which is going to be 5.8, and you're going to want to change your slot width. Now, if you're not picking up on all those, which you should because you checked it, it's 4.7, but if one of those is off just ever so slightly, if you're not picking up on all 6 of those slots, then you can increase your tolerance here until you start to pick them all up. But now see what happens, you got to be careful. I just increased my tolerance from 0.25 to 0.50. Now that's wanting to move this slot up and down, and it's wanting to widen this one left to right. That's not kosher. That's not going to work. So back to 0.25. Now it's widening everything correctly, and you want to look and make sure you're widening all of them correctly, and you are, and you say okay. Now it's going to cut those out to where it's the thickness of this board and this offset, and it's going to fit in good and snug. You may end up having to sand it just a little bit on the tabs, but you would rather remove a little bit of material than have it be sloppy fit. So let's get this cut out and then get it glued together. Oh, one more thing. If you decide you don't want to have by his grace on here, what you can do is simply select by his grace. We'll hold shift button and select the blue layer and hit the delete button and select it and delete it. Then what you could do is grab your slots, go ahead and group those, then hold your shift button and select the fish and tell it to align on the horizontal center. And then that's going to put the Amazing Grace cross right in the center of that void, and you're not having to worry about putting any engravings on there. Or you could change from Amazing Grace to your favorite scripture. Now, the very first one of these I made it a memorial. I put a person's name, their date of birth, and their date of death. So there's all kinds of things you can do with this. Put this back. There we go. So let's get this off the laser and get it glued up. Okay, let's start assembling a cross. So I cut this one out, these two pieces first, and I cut those out face down because, surprise, these have got gold craft paper glued to them. There we go. And clean these up a little bit. Get fingerprints off of them. Okay. Now I'm going to glue this on top of this. And then the fishy will go on top of this one. Okay. Let's get to gluing. Use my good old trusty pipe cleaners to clean up my squeeze out. So here's a small collection of some of the crosses I've built this week. Now this is the one you just see me glue up. Now I haven't put any finish on this at all. I'm going to leave it just as is. Natural Baltic birch. And this is a Baltic birch that has the craft paper glued to the back of the offset and to the fish. And I'm going to leave that au natural. Then I've got this one. Now this one is a combination of multiple pieces of material, or different types of material. This is Baltic birch glued on top of Padauk offset with a Padauk fish on top of Baltic birch fish with a walnut accent on the lower base. So this is walnut, Padauk, and Baltic birch on all of that one. This one is all Baltic birch, but I put a stain on the fish and on the offset. So a little stain, all on Baltic birch, and it's got this one and this one both have the Rust-Oleum triple thick glaze. This one I had higher hopes for. It didn't turn out as nice as I had hoped. This one is zebra wood and walnut. Now the dark two just don't look that great together. The zebra wood fish on the bottom I like pretty good. The zebra wood and the Baltic birch. But I don't like the zebra wood and the walnut. This would probably look better with a Baltic birch on top of the zebra wood. And it also has the Rust-Oleum triple thick glaze. Now this one I really like. This is Padauk with no offset, and on the base is a 1-layer ash base, and it has the Rust-Oleum triple thick glaze. So Padauk and ash. And lastly, this one is using the cheap birch from Lowe's. It's 4.3 millimeter or 4.7 millimeters instead of the 3 millimeter birch that these others were made out of. So this is a little bit thicker. Birch and birch base with a walnut fish on top. And I like that really good. I like the walnut on the birch, and the thickness of that is nice. It's not too flimsy. And I like the Amazing Grace without the offset, but the most popular choice in the live stream the other night, everybody preferred to have it with an offset. They said it was easier to read with the offset. So that's how I included the file. The file has been upgraded to where it has a just this. This is the file that I just cut out. It's got 3 fish on the bottom with the offset and the cross fish, and then the offset and the Amazing Grace cross. All of that is in the file that's available on hobowithwood.com. So guys, thanks for hanging around and watching this. This turned out pretty nice, and I like this one au natural. No finish on it, no glaze. This is 2 sheets of 300 by 300 material, and didn't even utilize all of it. There's some good material left. So about $3 to $4 in material, plus a $1 piece of craft paper. So I've got around $5 or so invested in this, and 15 minutes on the laser, about 5 or 10 minutes of assembly time, and like I said, no finish. So, you know, $5 to $8 tied up in this, and you could easily sell these for $20, $25 a piece easily. They look really nice, and you can do this with all types of different craft paper. Instead of the glossy, you might find something in a black satin or something that gives you some contrast, or some type of print. The possibilities are endless. If you don't have access to the exotic woods, you can do stuff like this to really make your piece look that much better and stand out from anybody else at the craft show. I want to thank all my patrons for your support in making this channel possible. If you haven't purchased this file, jump over to hobowithwood.com and get this thing. It's a money-making file. I promise you, you will make some money off of it. I encourage you to buy my files and make as many of those as you can. Go to every craft show you can get to and get sloppy rich selling Hobo with Wood files. And then just remember me after the fact. You know, I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for Hobo with Wood. And then just send me a thank you. I do not require licensing for any of my materials. Everything that I have on my website, I created from scratch. No one's going to be hollering any infringements or anything like that. It may not be a completely original idea, but the design that I have is completely original. You've probably seen files like this on different sites, Etsy and stuff. But I created this. I actually showed during one of my live streams how I created this file, and it is a lot like the Lord's Prayer cross that Rich, Louisiana Hobby Guy, has, where each letter is separate and you can see how they overlap each other. They're not just simply welded together. This is a really quality piece of work, I promise you. Each letter is very easy to see and very distinctly distinguished. So, hobowithwood.com. But below this video, there are a couple things. There's a super thanks button that you can say, hey, thanks, appreciate everything I've learned today. But beyond that, down in the description, at this time, it just simply says more. It used to say show more. It used to say description. It used to say all kinds. Now it says more. By the time you watch it, it might say something different. But if you click on that more button, it'll give a description of this video and a list of all the products that I talked about in this video. My Baltic Birch, the triple thick glaze, the cardstocks. So, excuse me, I am sick and I apologize for the coughing and the hacking. But thanks again for every patron support. If you want to consider being a patron, jump over to patreon.com/hobowithwood. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you don't want to be a monthly contributor and you do want to support this channel, the option to use hobowithwood.com/Amazon. And that will take you to the Amazon homepage, just like if you put in Amazon.com. But when you put in hobowithwood.com/Amazon, Amazon's going to know you went there because I asked you to, or I influenced you in some way. And whatever you're buying, be it the products that I have linked here, or if you're simply going over there to buy the dog treats, they will actually send me a couple pennies for everything you buy. So when you use hobowithwood.com/Amazon for all your Amazon needs, you'll be helping this channel out, and I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, I'm Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I'll see you next time.